Creating your RSVP form. If you've already purchased the RSVP form option for your site, you will see this button on the left-hand side of your dashboard. If you haven't yet purchased the RSVP form option, simply click on the Extra Options button to purchase and add to your site. Once you've done this, click on the RSVP form button on the left-hand side of your dashboard to create your RSVP form. This will take you to the form settings page, where a default form will be displayed. You can name your form something else if you like, but it's not necessary unless you have more than one form in your site, which you can do by the way, and need to distinguish between forms when adding them into a page in your site. You need to think about what questions you'd like to ask your guests when putting together your RSVP form. You can start with changing the current questions in the default form, and then adding your own. To start with, delete My Field Set and website http:// by pressing the red cross in the circle next to the option. Each time you do this, make sure you click Save and Update Form Settings at the top of your page. Now that you have deleted these form options, you should be left with your name, email and message fields. Start by changing your name to guest names, or whatever you would like. You probably want to capture your guest's email and message, so you can leave these fields for now. Next to each field, there is an option for Required and Email. Tick the required box if you make it compulsory to choose an option. This means that when they go to submit their RSVP, if they haven't, they will be asked to. Tick the email box if you're asking for an email address. That way the system can check they have entered a valid email address and ask them to resubmit if they haven't. To add a field to your form, simply click the Add button underneath the form fields. If you would like it in a certain position, simply select a position number before clicking the Add button. Don't worry if the field is in the wrong spot. You can simply hold your mouse on the field and drag it until it's in the right position. Once you've added your new field, you need to decide what you would like to ask and also what type of field you would like it to be, which can be selected in the drop-down menu here. Options you will probably use are a single line of text, used when you want your guests to answer a single line of text, for example, their name; multiple lines of text, used when you want your guests to write a longer answer, as it allows multiple lines for their answer, for example, when you ask guests to write a message; checkbox, used when there's only one option and you would like your guest to confirm, for example, yes, I will make it along. However, you will generally use radio buttons instead, so you can have an alternate option. Radio buttons are for when you want guests to select an answer from selections you've provided. For example, yes, I can come along, or no, I cannot come along. For radio buttons, you will need to configure your answers. To do this, once you've selected radio buttons as your field type, click on the setting button next to the field. This will take you to the settings screen. So, for example, if you want to ask people to RSVP, you might write your RSVP in the field label box. You then need to provide some options by clicking the red plus button and adding some options. For example, here I've added yes, I can come along and sorry, unfortunately, I can't make it along as two possible options. To confirm, click the green tick at the bottom of the box. There are also two boxes next to the options, a tick and a return symbol. If you would like one of the options to already be selected on the form, make sure you click the tick box. If you would like your options to be on separate lines, make sure you select the return box. Enter as many fields as you like until you're happy with your form. Remember, you can make changes whenever you like. Just remember to click Save and Update Form Settings every time you make a change. On-screen messages when guests RSVP. Underneath your form, there is a box title, Messages, Text and Button label. Click on the arrow next to these to configure. This will open up a form box with a number of options. The first option is what you would like to call your button at the bottom of your RSVP form. The default is currently Submit, but you might like to change it to RSVP or Send My Response. Next, you will see that you can also change the text you'd like to display next to a required field or a field that requires a valid email. You can also change the success message, which is the text shown on screen after someone RSVPs. For example, thanks for your RSVP. Don't worry too much about the other options, except for show messages is often better below form, so the guests don't have to scroll up to see it. And don't forget to save and update form settings to save your changes. Putting the RSVP form into your site. You now want to put your form into your site. Visit your website, navigate to where you'd like to put your RSVP form, and click Edit Page to get into the page editor. All you need to do now is move your cursor to where you would like to place your RSVP form and click the Forms button. You then need to select your RSVP form, which will be your default form unless you change the name to something else. Then simply select Insert and your form will be inserted. Update your page and visit your website to see your RSVP form. To make changes, head back to your dashboard and click on the RSVP Form button to make changes until you're happy. Sending an automatic email back to your guests when they RSVP. You can configure an automatic email to send to your guests when they RSVP on your website. To do this, go to your RSVP form settings, scroll to the bottom of your page and select Activate Auto Confirmation. If you don't wish to send your guests an automatic email when they RSVP, simply leave this option unselected. After selecting, you must click the Save and Update Settings button so that you can edit the email to send to your guests when they RSVP. A box will now be displayed where you can write an automatic email that will be sent to your guests when they RSVP. Firstly, you need to type a subject line for your email. For example, "Thanks for your RSVP." Next, you will need to configure the email message that will be sent to guests when they RSVP. To use any of the information you have captured in your RSVP, you need to put curly brackets around the field name. For example, if you wanted to address it to the person's name and you have written your name in the form, you would write "Dear your name" with curly brackets around it in the email. Now all you have to do is click Save and Update Form Settings at the top of the page, and when someone RSVPs, they will get your automatic email. Configuring the email you receive when someone RSVPs. To set up the email that goes to yourself when someone RSVPs to your event, simply click the arrow next to the Admin Email Message options. All you need to do now is fill in the information. For the From address, simply fill in your own email address. It's also important to fill in the admin email address, as this is where the notification emails will go to. To send to more than one person, insert a comma between email addresses or use the BCC field. Again, you can use fields in the form by putting curly brackets around them. For example, you might want to put the person who is RSVPing's name in the subject line of the email you receive. Make sure you tick Include User Input at the bottom of the admin email, as this will capture the information your guest has entered. Again, make sure you click Save and Update Form Settings at the top of the page. Now, when someone RSVPs on your event website, you will get an email with their RSVP answers. It's a good idea to do a test run to make sure everything is working properly before you give your RSVP address to your guests. Tracking and downloading your RSVP list. To track and download your RSVP list at any time, simply click on Tracking underneath your RSVP Form tab in the dashboard of your website. This will take you to a screen that lists all of your RSVPs to date. It will only display email addresses, but to have a glance at detailed records, simply click on the View Records button above the list. To download the list to Excel, click on the Download Records button. You then need to make sure you select .csv next to Pick a Format, and then click on the green tick and an Excel spreadsheet should open on your computer. You now have your list in a convenient spreadsheet format. How easy is that?